Hello and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 2017's Jeepers Creepers 3, which was directed by Victor Salva. I'm your co-host Alec.
And with us again, our Jeepers Creepers expert, according to LinkedIn, Ryan Baldassario. Ryan, welcome back to the show.
It is an honor and a privilege, gentlemen.
Oh my God, Eric, you were so excited you didn't even introduce yourself.
No, I know. I am very. I'm Eric. And I'm just really excited. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Ryan, you got some splaining to do. What the hell happened?
So I think there's the concept that always comes to mind for me is hubris, right? And flying too close to the sun. And I just feel like there were some parts of this movie that took, hey, what worked well in Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2? Okay, let's lean into that. Except they kind of cranked the dial to 11, and I don't think they always landed the plane.
12 to 12.
12, yes. It's just off the charts. And I think that it had a lot of potential, and it's a barrel of laughs. But what is this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just for the listeners now, Ryan's been on this journey with us from Jeepers Creepers 1, 2, and that was like a year ago. And now we're covering the third and the fourth one coming up. And it's a pretty steep decline from 2. I mean, Eric, how do you feel about this? This is all of our first times, right?
Right. And I'll say this. 1 and 2 are great in their own ways. Like 1 is probably the better film, but 2 has more action and is more fun in a lot of ways. This movie, it's like it saves the best of it to the end, and that's it, if that makes any sense.
Man, I'm excited to hear what the best of it is. So we'll get there. Yeah, I mean, Ryan, how do you feel? I'm sorry, I don't want to put a sour tone on this already.
Oh no, I don't want this to be misconstrued as me saying I liked parts of it. Like for me, I was like, you know what? I didn't mind that I watched this movie. I wouldn't watch it again too frequently, but you know what? It was fun. There were some really deep cut, like either jokes or just like things that I just couldn't. I had to like pause it and just like kind of just take a breath from it and be like, what was that? Like, I'm excited to talk about a lot of this just because I usually take notes when I watch these movies, when I try and talk to you guys of things that's like, and these are on all non sequiturs that are just like shorthand notes that I have to try and remember what I was referring to watching the film. And I have some I hope to be gems. So I'm just ready to get into it.
Yeah, let's walk through the plot in a second. But for me, I had a hard time watching this. Like I really had a hard time focusing. I don't know why. I've just been very busy, but it was just tough to pay attention to in my perspective.
I mean, did you just think it was boring or what it was?
Yeah, no, I like the opening shot with the crows, and it felt very like Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers. I'm like, oh, I love the makeup of the creeper. I love this. I like how it's starting, and then all of a sudden, it's just like there's these really long, drawn out shots that I wish they just made quicker.
It is long. It's an hour and 41 minutes. And yeah, I did pause at like the hour 14 mark and I was like, there's 30 fucking minutes left. And yeah.
Exactly. It took me a while to fully go through it, to be honest.
There's got to be somebody out there who could put together like a supercut of it on like YouTube where it just, like Eric's saying, just trim a little bit of the fat of some of the transition shots.
9 minutes. 9 minutes.
If this gets to 92, I'm like 94. I'll give it 94. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And that gives you about 10 minutes back of how it sometimes just resonates and it kind of lingers. And you're like, all right, we can get past
I'm saying not 90. I'm saying 9 minutes. Like I could cut this down to 9 minutes probably.
I mean, there's a lot.
Boom, boom, boom. Final 2 shots. Boom.
All right. Well, we'll get into the plot, but right before we do that, Eric, why don't you read the stats on this guy?
Yeah. I'll start with Jeepers Creepers 1. Came out August 31st, 2001. That movie was an hour and 31 minutes. Its budget was 10 million and it made 60 million. Hell yeah, that's a good win. Rotten Critics score was 45%. Rotten Audience was 49%. The second one, which we've covered as well, came out August 29th, 2003. That's a little longer at an hour and 44 minutes. Its budget was 17 million, so almost double the budget. And it made, we talked about this, 63 to 120 million, which, where did the 60 million go? I don't know, but that is...
That range is so wild.
If you look it up on Wikipedia, the budget says 63 million to 120 million. So who's in accounting? We need to figure this out. Where did that go? Rotten Critic, 24%. Rotten Audience, 37%. This film Jeepers Creepers 3 came out September 26, 2017. Its runtime is just slightly under Jeepers Creepers 2, but longer than 1, an hour and 40 minutes. Its budget was 6.2 million. Drastic cut. And it only made 3 to 4 million. And its Rotten Critic, 17%. Rotten Audience, 29%. Sorry, that's a lot of numbers. Hope I didn't bore anyone.
So they just keep getting worse. And I mean, the director's, I think, to blame. I just think he had like a stain on him, obviously, in the industry, and maybe he owned the rights or something because it's such a gap between 2 and 3. And I think people like either just were like, ah, fuck the series, whatever. But yeah, it had very limited release in theaters. It was only in there for like 2 days. Like, so this thing was just plagued with issues. And then it's not a great movie on top of it. So I'll give a little bit of a plot synopsis here, and then we can get into all of our the meat of the episode. This actually takes place in between 1 and 2, which I thought was kind of a bad idea, but I'll get into that later. Yeah, so it starts off with like a flashback to I think the last time the creeper was here, so like the late 70s, and we see him flying away. He drops a hand. This guy takes the hand, he buries it on his farm, and yeah, then there's basically the same farm. There's this old woman. She's got her granddaughter there, and the granddaughter, they're really poor, and the granddaughter has a horse she loves, and she's trying to like save it or whatever. So she goes into town. Oh yeah, sorry, before any of that, there's the end of the first movie. The Jeeper flies away with Justin Long, and all of the cops are there. And his truck is there. And yeah, let's talk about the truck because like it's like the Batmobile basically in this movie.
So the only thing I could think of was kind of like a bastardization of Pimp My Ride, right? Where it's like, Creeper, we heard you love hooking people with long bayonet level hooks that are just on chains.
Yeah.
And we're going to have those everywhere. We're putting chains in your chains because you love chains. And it's just, they're the features and the weapons and the booby traps of that truck are just so unimaginable.
It's so true. Who used to host that show? Who was it again? Was it Exhibit?
Exhibit, X to the Z.
Hell yeah. Bring it back. That could make a phenomenal comeback today.
But it'd be funny if they did that like a little, spoof or whatever with this.
The first and second one was like right around that time. So it's like, wow, we missed something that we're never going to get back. So there you go.
Exhibit comes back and pimps the ride. Yeah.
Of the creeper.
It'd be funny.
It's like we threw up a whole wall of ninja shurikens made out of bone and teeth right here. And the creeper's just like holding his face like, oh my God, like this is so good.
we heard you love eating people so much that you waited in line in the DMV and put all the paperwork together to register a vehicle and get the plate be eating you. That's the level of commitment that the West Coast Customs crew could deliver to, this whole scenario. So we did miss a huge opportunity because if 3 was made in that same kind of sequence and time gap, it would have been that.
I know. It's a good idea.
It's such a crazy take. It's such a crazy take. I love it.
But this thing is crazy. I mean, yeah, it shoots out like, a wire or the chain with like the hook or whatever.
Like full on anchor sized chains and harpoons.
Yeah, and it goes wherever it wants. It's like remote controlled to like kill people. It's just crazy.
Thank you. So there's a guy on a dirt bike actively driving away at full throttle, is like doing a jump in the air. And somehow this hook perfectly spears that dude like right through the back, right gauge out to the chest, like the chest burster of the alien. Just comes right through him. That is like hundreds of yards away.
Yeah, the creeper's like, he's been sleeping for 23 years, and all of a sudden he's like, oh my God, I have a button for this. Yes,
yeah, exactly.
I can use it.
When did that truck get made? Because that technology was not there in the 70s or 23 years ago, whenever this was supposed to be, or like late 80s, like early 80s, whatever the time difference was. There's no way that technology was there.
I mean, is it even there now? I mean, could they have a chain that comes out of like a pipe and can swerve and get people? Like,
I don't want to derail too much, but there's a great Mythbusters on like Batman gadgets and cars and stuff. You should watch it if you really want to care about that. Some things are possible, but others aren't.
Nothing in this is possible. There's no way. The car, I don't know. There's so many traps inside of it. I did like how the door closes. Like I thought that was pretty cool. So like nobody can fuck with this shit. Like that was cool.
The car is a part of the first one and the second one. We've seen this car. So it's not like this is a brand new thing. No, the creeper drives a car.
Yeah. And the car just takes on like its own kind of personality in this one. But yeah, I will say though, probably the coolest thing for me, which is not even that cool, is the the main other dude, the balding fat white guy, the older guy, he's in the original one. He's like one of the desk clerks from the first Jeepers Creepers. So you get to like see him the next day after all of this. So I thought that was kind of a cool idea. But the other thing was that kind of pissed me off. So the sheriff, the guy with the cowboy hat that we never really meet ever, but he's like knows all about the creeper and stuff like that. He has like this crew of people that all know about the creeper, but he's the sheriff of the police station, and none of the police seem like they have any idea who this guy is in the first movie, or any idea who the creeper is in the first movie. And then also the psychic lady from the first movie, she survived the first movie. Wouldn't she be a part of this crew who knows everything about the creeper, right?
She probably had scheduling conflicts. So I had to write that out.
Oh my God.
Well, I feel like the whole town knows, right? At this point, especially, I mean, it goes from like Florida to Louisiana to Florida, right? Where,
Well,
where
no,
are
it's all Florida. It's all Florida. Yeah,
Okay.
they shot this one in Baton Rouge, but it all takes place in Florida. But the
Okay.
thing is, when that cop is freaking out in the beginning, he's like, "This has happened before," and he's screaming at that guy. The other guy's acting like, "What the fuck was that thing?"
I agree with you. You think like a town that knows like all hundreds of people go missing every 23 years that's not known throughout the town. They should have leaned into that a lot more.
Yeah, and I do like that they brought that desk clerk back from the first one who was a cop in that, and he becomes like a lead in this one. But bring back the psychic lady then too, because you've set it up that you have this rogue group of people in town that know about the creeper, yet that lady's not part of it. So I'm like, okay, that makes no sense. But yeah, scheduling conflict, sure. Maybe she was like Victor Salva's disgusting. I'm not working with him. I don't know.
Yeah.
That probably had a little bit to do with it. I mean we don't have to go into it, but yeah, that's a sour taste right there.
Yeah.
Going and making more of his movies is like just it's a little off-putting. That's just generically, you know.
Yeah. So we get those two characters though. We get the guy from the first one, and then we get this other cowboy sheriff guy, and they're fine. None of the acting's particularly good. But Eric, I wanted to ask you, the older lady who touches the hand and gets the psychic abilities and all that shit?
Yeah, I thought she was pretty good. I mean, they made her look terrible.
Yeah.
Do you recognize her for anything?
I did. I don't know what though.
Remember They Live?
Yeah.
She's like the red-headed lady who's like the love interest of Roddy Piper or whatever, and then at the end she turns out to be like one of the aliens.
Is she also in Donnie Darko?
No.
I thought she was like the woman who was obsessed with Patrick Swayze's character for a minute. That's who she reminded me of, but
Oh, no.
It's Meg Foster.
Yeah, you might recognize her, Eric. But anyway, so I saw her and I was like, why do I know this lady? Because she always looked like a cat to me.
Yep. Like a Siamese cat.
Like a Siamese cat.
oh yeah, just Googled it. Yep, I'm there. I'm with you. I'm with you. Yep.
Yeah, anyway, so I thought that she's probably the only person I recognize in this movie from anything else. But here's the thing about her whole character. So the whole thing about this movie is the creeper drops this hand, okay? And this guy finds the hand of one of the victims and he buries it on the farm. And this old lady, she knows about the hand because she's having visions of her dead son because I think he got killed by the creeper at some point. And she touches the hand and she gets these like psychic powers or whatever. Didn't the creeper like kill people and leave their body parts somewhere? Like when did this become like a thing?
Is that the creeper's hand?
No, it's the
You
victim
sure?
that he was.
I thought it was the creeper's hand. I thought it hadn't like.
But he had two hands throughout the whole movie.
Yes, because he regenerates. Like the whole point of him killing people is to take their organs. Like he's taken people's eyes before and organs before. Like that's why he takes bodies.
Yeah, he upgrades his parts.
So that's someone else's hand, but it was his probably.
Okay. So then here's the thing. Here's the thing to that. This movie takes place after the first one. Wouldn't he think I need to get my hand back immediately? Like that would be the first thing he does, not wait and do everything in the first movie, then go get the hands, halfway through this movie?
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's his original hand, but he definitely got a hand from somebody else. That's how he rolls. That's how I don't know.
He probably didn't think about it. He honestly probably was like, "Ah, man, my arm got cut off. Well, that sucks. Let me go get a new one." And doesn't think anybody would pick it up. Like I don't think he's that cautious of it because like what are they going to do with that? It's never been a threat to him. He probably didn't know that it was even a thing.
That's the thing though. So this whole movie, they're like, if we touch this hand, we can find out how to kill it. And then the only little tidbits we get after that is that the sheriff guy goes, he's been here for a long time. And then they leave the note at the very end that says, we know what you are. And then it ends. So you're like, you'd think that he knows that, like, okay, they know how to kill me now, so I should get this body part back the first fucking second I wake up. I don't know.
Horrible job explaining everything as we go through it, and the flashbacks that these people have, like, oh, we know who you are now. Like, I wanted to see like how old is this thing? Like
I
how
know.
they just say he's ancient. It's like you've set the stage to do a very cool opportunity of showing the creeper as a crow in freaking Egypt if you wanted to, or like anything crazy.
Right. Or like show him in like the colonial times.
Something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything, even way before that, like at the crucifixion of Jesus. Like imagine he was that's what like you could do anything, but they're
Oh my
like
God.
and they just show like you touch the hand, your eyes roll in the back of your head, and it's like I know who he is now. It's like, well, what the fuck is he? Can we talk about this?
No, no, they didn't have the budget for that.
That's so stupid. I hate that. Oh God, that pissed me off so much. Yeah, they're like, I know what it is, but I can't tell you, and we're never gonna tell the audience.
Time out. There's a point when I went to the bathroom and stepped out when like the sheriff guy touches the hand and his eyes roll back in his head, and I came back within like 20 seconds. I didn't pause it. I was like, yeah, you can listen to it. I was like, wait, did I miss something? Like, is there like some crazy like there was nothing? So I think that's one of the biggest pain points of this movie.
Yeah. I mean, and then aside from the creeper and all that stuff, there's like this stupid romance that we're like supposed to give a shit about, and like I didn't at all. I don't know. The horse girl has like the boy in town who owns the hay.
I'm poor, you're rich. Fix my horse. Let's run away together. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
And the dad's like, you can do better. It's like, oh God, all right, well. Yeah, so that whole thing is kind of like, I guess the creeper for some reason wants her. He's like, oh, she smells good. So he steals her and the boy has to like go after her or whatever. And he just, I don't know, he does. But the creeper keeps her alive, right? I mean, like the other guy that's in the van, because the creeper puts the girl into the van and he finds another guy that was attacked or whatever, one of her friends. And he's like, yeah, he thought I was dead. He didn't think that girl was dead. He's the only person that grabbed her. So he wanted to keep her alive.
Yeah, it's a plot hole. You know, we skip over these things. We just
Okay.
it's all just a premise to get to the other significant upgrades that Exhibit provided to the creeper in like the random booby traps that like why would you ever have those self-defense booby traps? Who do you think is going to be attacking you from the dead meat trunk you have?
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you about a plot hole then in that truck with all that then. So the girl and the boy are in the truck. The boy knows there's booby traps, but for some reason he's like, I'm still gonna like fuck around. He puts his head in, his head gets stabbed by this machine or whatever, and he dies. The creature comes back, finds the dead kid, takes one of his shuriken things, and goes to stab a different body who we think is the girl, and then it just cuts away and we never see what happens. And then the girl's fine. What the fuck was that?
I've got nothing.
I don't even know. I'm trying to think as well. Like I have nothing.
I mean, he takes it like he's going to stab her. The music's like dun 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 dun, and then he like goes to swing, and then it just cuts, and then she's fine.
Yeah, what was that? Yeah, that's just like that. They're just rolling with the how they're shooting things. I don't know.
Oh, we're losing light, folks. We got to call this.
Yeah.
So where are we right now?
Well, I mean, one of my other complaints is that they don't use Jeepers Creepers in this fucking movie again.
Dude, they don't use it in the second one either.
I know.
That's one of the best parts, like the Jeepers Creepers. We're gonna. That's like probably when someone says, "Oh, Jeepers Creepers, you like the movie?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, do the song like Jeepers." Like I always go to that as like my first thing to describe that I've seen the movie.
That should have been part of the budget just to pay for the rights for that every time. Like there has to have been a reason it was not in there.
Someone owns it and it was like $20,000. It's like, nope, definitely not doing that. Like,
Yeah, we just get the one line of that kid just being like, Jeepers Creepers, and they look at him and it's like, isn't that the song he used to sing? And it's like, no, he never sang that. He never sang that once, ever, in any movie. Oh, man. Yeah, so a lot of plot holes. Oh, wait. This is kind of cool scene, actually. So there's this one scene where all the Jeepers Creepers, like, crew or whatever, they've got their, like, mini guns and all their crazy shit, and they're like, we're gonna go kill this guy. So the sheriff and his friend are, like, chasing it down the van, shooting at it. It's 100% bulletproof. The tires are bulletproof. Everything's bulletproof. And it perfectly ricochets back at the cop car, which also appears to be bulletproof. But then the minigun's coming at the car. It shoots, it reflects, kills all of them. And I will say, like the last stand of that fight, when
it was
that
about
guy,
the top two parts of the movie, hands down.
yeah, he grabs the minigun and the creature flies in the air during the day.
It's jammed. It's like a slow motion. There's a build up, and like, it's just like, oh my god, the creeper's about to like lay up the smack of this axe.
It's got a release, yeah.
I know, and like his friends watching from afar, like, oh no, and like
Yeah.
it was just such a good. And all of a sudden, the minigun unjams, and he's just like, It's like, yes, we're taking him out. But cut to the creeper hits him. They fall to the ground, and his friend's like, "Did he get him?" And all of a sudden, you see like the Thor axe come out of his skull. It's like, oh, he did not get him.
Yeah. So that guy survives the cop from the first movie. So I mean, he's still around. The old lady survives, but pretty much everybody else is dead, except I think the couple survives too, right?
Well, there's two shots to this movie that like make it. The shot of the young poor girl with the horse. Her boyfriend comes to say goodbye, like, "Hey, I'm going on the bus," and that's the bus leading to Jeepers Creepers 2.
Right. Okay, we need to talk about that.
Yeah. So yeah, you want to talk about that now?
I mean, that's just like the biggest plot hole in the world, unless they're insinuating that like he died at the football game.
Well, that's the big reveal that this is the 27th day of the feeding, and tomorrow's the bus scene in Jeepers Creepers 2 is the last day of
It's the
feeding.
last day.
Yeah, but that kid's not in the second one, so he shouldn't be on the bus. Doesn't make sense.
Shh, shh, shh. We don't need to. Just it's fine. It's fine.
But he's wearing the same jacket as the team. You hear the
I
team singing
know.
singing the song
Fight,
that
fight,
kicks
fight.
off the
Yeah.
second one.
So that's what I'm saying. I think that he went to the football game and he got murdered at the football game. And that's why he's not in the second one.
I mean, he could just be like someone on the bus that we don't recognize too. But the best part of that scene is when he's walking to the bus, there's like two other people on the bus. The bus is completely empty, and then it cuts to him like waving goodbye. There's no one else on the bus as it's driving off.
We're not paying for those extras.
No, we're not paying for a whole football team to come on this bus. It was
Oh,
like it was so if you watch it, it's so funny.
so pathetic. My God. Yeah, so the last time we ever see the creeper though, he like goes back to get the hand or whatever, and he gets the note from that old lady being like, "We know what you are." And he's like, "No." And
Hopefully they have it wrong because I don't know if they know the truth. Like,
he's like, "I should have looked for this earlier. Why did I waste that time chasing Justin Long?"
how they can kill me in probably 100 years. I don't know. Oh no.
Yeah, so we get a bunch of endings, and oh, we didn't even talk about the I don't know, kind of the shittiest one. Trish is back.
Yeah, Justin Long's sister, right? Justin Long's got a little sister.
Oh yeah, like what? I still just don't understand how they tied that in.
So this is supposed to be 23 years later. Is she's writing? So from the guy getting on the bus to what's her name on the typewriter, it feels like, right? This doesn't show a computer. That's 23 years from that. It's a flash forward, right? Am I picking that up wrong, Alec?
I don't think they ever say specifically when it is. It's definitely after the
Well, it has
first
to
two.
be because the first one is starts with Justin Long, and then Jeepers Creepers 2 is still the same feeding, and then this one is the date. So this one is technically in between 1 and 2.
No, I think this takes place after two, and it's like in between two.
No, it doesn't because you see it end with him getting on the bus.
It would have to be 20 years after that, and the desk cop wouldn't be 20 years. He was the same age.
No, I know. The thing is, yeah, like this guy or Trish or whatever, she's like narrating this movie basically. She narrates it from the beginning, and it's her like writing a blog about the creeper. So I don't think it happened before the second one. That means that she like got free and immediately wrote this. Like I think she's been doing research on the creeper, figured out what it is, wrote an internet blog, and that's her like, Sex in the City fucking moment, and then like it breaks the camera and or fourth wall.
Okay, so I got this totally wrong. I always thought Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2 were like in the same 23 days.
They are. No, they are. They are. So one happens, then three happens, then two happens, and they all happen within the same 23-day cycle. The last shot of three, I believe, is like takes place in a random year, like 2017 or whatever.
Got it. So it's not, yep.
And it's her being like, "Come and get me, motherfucker," sort of thing. So when the next cycle, 2024, happens, she's ready for it. That's what I took from it. I don't know.
Got it. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Oh, that makes more sense. Yes.
That makes a little bit more sense about being exactly 23 years later. It's somewhere in between his next feeding. Got it.
Yeah, I think she's like, if I had to like imagine what this character's been doing, like she's been on the internet, like researching the creeper, talking to people about it, and now she's like writing a blog herself about it because like she's a survivor.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in post-production, the best thing you could do in that scene is say like 10 years before the next feeding in text, right?
Yeah, yeah, or anything, yeah.
Anything like 8 years before the next or 2 years before the next feeding.
Right.
Like
22 years later or something. Yeah.
yeah, that's the problem with this movie. There's no clear, like I don't even know how to describe it. It just looks.
Eric, we don't need them to just go on and wax poetic about what the creeper is.
No, I don't need a spoon-fed movie. I don't need to figure out everything, but like help me out.
Yeah, I mean, they don't give us anything. And I actually think that it being like Jeepers Creepers 1.5, like I think it actually hurts it because there's no stakes. And I'd rather see the wrap up of two because the end of it of two is like Ray Wise with the freak show carnival ride thing with the guy there. That's it. We never know what happens after that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things where you feel the potential of a film and it just sucks. It's like, oh, you could have done this and this and this, and it probably wouldn't have been that crazy of a budget, but my take.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan, I didn't mean to cut you off before.
No, you didn't cut me off. I was just trying to figure out how to phrase it, but it's like they could tell us the story like bit for bit, but instead of really going into the mythology or anything, they just kind of this little sub society of people that know all about the creeper don't really tell other people, so it's not really doing their job because with more people knowing, you could actually do more about it. Right. So they're like, why are they a secret society? They should tell everyone about this. But all I could think is the entire time, whoever wrote this screenplay, there must have been on the bottom of every part of the script, just underlined in like thick red, is just speak in caps lock the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everybody is just at it at the top of their game, like just bordering on either overacting or yelling with an indoor voice. They're just talking in caps lock the entire time.
You're right. I noticed that.
And the energy levels are just so tense the entire time. The initial time somebody talks to each other, they're like at each other's throats, like yelling, talking at each other. That's not how you greet people, even in times of crisis. Like they are just yelling immediately. They're just going straight into raising their voices. And it's just like, holy shit, like the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what, Alec? This is why we bring Ryan on. He's our Jeepers Creepers expert. He just sums it up.
It's true.
Brian, your LinkedIn says Jeepers Creepers expert. I endorsed it. A lot of people endorsed it, and this is why you're here. So thank you.
There's one more. So in my little set of notes, we've covered most of the things I've written down, but two more things I want to just mention. One is so the name is Galen. So the mother who could see dead people, right?
Yes.
So there was a scene where the only thing I wrote down in caps was Galen is a cross of E.T. dressing up as Sarah Connor.
Oh my God. That's actually perfect. That's such a good description.
That's all I could picture. And I was like, it's like, oh, she could stand next to a chain link fence and hold it and like shake it and be like, that would be the nuke scene. Like she was beat for beat Sarah Connor for like two scenes. But it also look she could have also been E.T. playing Sarah Connor. Just like she was so frail and like her face was so sunken in. But that's what just resonated the entire time at the end.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I love that.
Great take.
All right, I'm gonna give my like little positives here, my little negatives, and then we'll wrap up too, and you know everybody can get their last little 2 cents in. But yeah, I think this is just a downgrade in pretty much every sense of it. I mean, it's not as scary, it's not as like interesting, it's not as funny. Like everything is a down step. It was good to see the same actor play the creeper. I did like that. Otherwise, I thought the CGI was really bad, especially considering it's like 15 years after the last one. Yeah, I don't know. I'd still watch a fourth one, you know, that continues this series, but not, you know, hopefully Victor Salva has nothing to do with it and they do it justice. But that's my bit.
I don't know much besides we're missing the song. It kills me. The makeup's been phenomenal. It has a lot of potential. You know, it just misses the delivery. And I'm glad it exists. That's all I'll say.
Ryan, you got any last minute thoughts?
I have to try and figure out, is the creeper like as strong as the Hulk? Because there's times where he can do things that are just like superhuman strength. And like, yeah, flying is big, but like there's other times in the first two movies where it's hard for like him to break into a bus.
I don't know. You're the expert, Ryan. Like you tell us. We brought you on the show.
My question is, if he's this strong and he can do some of the things he does in 3, why can't he just peel off the top of that bus like a tuna can and just eat all those kids?
Fantastic question.
It's fear. He wants to get them really scared so they taste better. Duh.
Oh, right. That's a part of it in the second one.
He's
right. Yeah, there you
go. He's marinating. Interesting. That's saucy minx.
Yep.
All right. No, that's really all I was wondering. Just like, if he's that strong, I don't understand how he doesn't just like rip everyone to shreds. But lastly, it's just like there was a time where the creeper just kind of, there's an interlude. We talked Eric about before, like the length of the movie, things they could have cut out. There's just like an interlude where the creeper's just guttural screaming to all the crows around him died.
Oh, yeah.
That's just in there. And I still don't really understand why it was there. It's the stuff like that. I love this movie for the ups of it. Like there are some like 5 minutes of this movie combined. I'm like, holy shit, that's so great. But there's other times where I'm like, I could easily, like Eric, I could just walk away. So it was worth watching, but it was a good once time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as good as the first two. All right. Well, last thing before we wrap up really quick. The creeper knows where all of his booby traps are in his car, and yet he still gets his head impaled in his own trap in the car. So I thought that was dumb. But anyways. All right. We don't have a wheel to spin because guess what? We're doing Jeepers Creepers Reborn. So get ready because next week Ryan's coming back.
Back to back. Back to back.
Jeepers Creepers Reborn. We're going to finish out this series strong. So get ready. Next week, we will be coming to you with Ryan Baldassario and Jeepers Creepers Reborn.